I was born in 1916, August 10th, in Hungary, in a small town. Hajdu Nanas. My first memories are the most beautiful memories, and I was born by fantastic, wonderful parents, and I was no war and was a beautiful childhood.
Small town, about 25,000 people. It was located, when I was born it was Czechoslovakia, but it was on the border from Hungary. We were 6 kilometers from Hungary. The townspeople were Hungarian. We were Hungarian speaking, and even during the Czech, I was going to Hungarian school. After First World War, in 1918, it became Czechoslovakia. And in 1938, the Hungarian retook it. So when I was born, it was Czechoslovakia, but after 1938, it belonged to Hungary. Because originally, it was Hungary. My mother was born in the same town, and it was Hungary. I'm in Christian neighbors, and I was playing with them. In the school, I went to a public school. It was mixed. Until 1938, everything was fine. And then, when it was occupied, then everything's changed. My mother was an only daughter. She had brothers, 4 brothers, and then they built a house in the same courtyard, and there where we lived. My mother got married, she lived there, and I had 2 married uncles, and they lived across the street, one on this side, on the other side.
Esther was very smart, extremely smart. And we had a beautiful relationship. We were not together too much, but very, very, and I had her especially in my mind because she gave me those years who went to a seamstress who made dresses. She used to buy me the material in Berexas, and I went to a seamstress here. She used to send me my material. And when I was hiding, in the summer I had the rest from wool, warm. I was thought I'm going to melt, and in the winter I had a cotton dress. Just opposite what I needed. But we had a very beautiful relationship. She was extremely smart woman.
I was close with my cousins and with my aunt and uncle, very close. We were 3 girls and 1 boy. Eva, Gita, she was born in 1932, so she was 6 years old, so like a first grader. She was a very fancy type girl. She always liked to wear like my mother's high shoes, and she had a very interesting hair. Color of the hair, it's like not red, but it's something like reddish. A beautiful baby hair, and she was very white skinned. His name was Amram, called him Amram. He was born in 36, so he was 2 years old when the Hungarian came in. He was a beautiful blue-eyed blonde boy with a beautiful voice, and he knew how to sing very nice.
I was born in Romania, and the city was Satmar. To my father and mother, we was 5 children, 4 brothers, 1 sister. My father he died when I was 8.5 years old, and my mother raised us. And then was coming the bad timing. First there was such organization, but they liked the idea from Hitler, and they started hitting the Jews in the street when we was walking, the Gentiles. The boys was fighting with us. Then the government was changed, and it was like a Nazi government. So after a while, a few years, I was that time by 18 years old, and the Nazis, they put everybody in a ghetto. That means they took all the Jews in one section, and we were sleeping in one room, maybe 4 or 5 families. It happened to be that the apartment where we live filled in the ghetto, and a lot of other people moved in the room there. One day there was a talk that the Germans is coming in, and they going to take us away to work for them. I decided with a friend of mine that I'm going to skip and I was going to run away. How do you run away? There was guards all over, and it wasn't so easy to run away. But in middle of the night, it was a Tuesday, I think, I made up with my friend that we're going to skip the gate, jump over. It wasn't so easy, but we take a lot of wood and we climb over. And I climb over the gate, and my friend, she become scared, and he says, I'm sorry, I cannot skip up, I cannot jump up. And I was alone there.
My father, I remember, he was traveling for business to a neighboring town with the train. And one day he came home and he was all bloody and everything was scared. They would just beat him up. He's Jewish for no reason, just that he was Jewish. When I couldn't go higher than 15 years. When I was 15 years, I came home, and I was very, very upset. And I remember I threw myself down on the bed and then I was crying, what I'm going to do now. I felt like my life is ending. I didn't know what I'm going to do. The Germans occupied Hungary in March. The war was on already and they were bombing. I mean, not our town, but the fighting planes were flying, and for evening we had to darken everything. We had to put on dark paper that no light should go out. And then when the siren was blown, we had to run out from the houses and go to the garden. And the last Passover was already very frightening because the Germans were there. I remember there was an area in the middle of the Seder. And the night after Pesach, they started to take us. My grandfather stayed home because they let the old people stay home temporarily. And it was the first time, and it's a terrible memory, that I saw my grandfather cry. When you are a child and you see an adult crying, it's very scary. And then they said, don't cry, you're going to follow them soon.
I was almost alone in the middle of the night, nobody in the whole train. And I arrived there 5 o'clock in the morning in the city, Nagybánya. And I arrived there, a Hungarian soldier, there was Kassernian, for soldiers and for the Jewish people, but they put group together and then they send them to work. Come there to the door, was ready, how do you come? This was only made for people that they are over 20 years. And I was only 8. I didn't have papers that I can go in there. So there was a very good officer, the head from this barracks, let him in, he let me in. They put us together, group, and they sent me out to work. Again, I see there's no future, but the end will be the Germans will come and take us. I was thinking to myself, how can I go away from there? I cut myself in my foot and blood was coming, and they took me in another city to a hospital. That time was still not so bad, but still the Hungarians so took me in a hospital there. And in this hospital, I was there about 4 weeks. In these 4 weeks, they took already all the workers from Hungarian and the German, and they take them to Auschwitz or wherever. They took them to Germany.
They took us to Auschwitz. We saw that we are going toward Poland, and then we know already that we knew what happened in Poland. And we know that it's very bad. When they opened the cattle car and they said, got out fast, everything was fast, and there were that men in prison uniforms, like those stripy uniforms, and they were prisoners and they were helping, and they said, give the children to the old one, give the children to the old one. We didn't know why, but they said, give the children to the old one. And I remember a friend of ours, she had a baby on her arm, and the man said, took the baby. Oh, I said, I left home such a beautiful baby. Give the baby to somebody else. And she saw that, that he really meant good. And she gave her baby, and after when she found out that her baby was already gassed, she was almost going crazy. But she survived the war, and she found her husband, and they had other children.
Then, later on, when I got married, came the Second World War. And as it's known, the Germans occupied the country, and we were in great trouble as Jews. And the same year, I got pregnant with my first child. It was 1944. As it's known, the Jews had to go into a ghetto. But I had very unusual, smart mother who saw things beforehand, before it came, the problem, the real problem. She had connections. She had a lot of good friends, non-Jews, because we dealt with alcohol with wine and all kinds of drinks in wholesale. It's very well known that the Hungarians are tremendous drinkers. They love the alcohol, and she had a lot of real good friends. We were really very lucky because she found a family who took in my husband, hiding him. As I was pregnant, I had permission to go into a hospital. When it came later on, they were looking all over and it was no excuse, whatever excuse was. We went to Budapest. Also non-Jews were hiding me. And it came to the time to have the baby. It was taken already from Budapest, the Jews, to Auschwitz. Yeah, I was taken into the hospital. It came the birth for my baby as a non-Jew. So my baby was born as a non-Jew. Nobody knew.
They take me to Budapest. There I was again in a sort of labor camp. Also from there they put together people and they took them to Austria, to Germany, to work, onto the Germans. That time wasn't anymore. They took already all the Jews from Hungary also. They still needed them, doctors and this kind of people, very elite people. This was 1945 in January or in December 44. They took us and they put us in trains. There was no eating and you wasn't able hearings. We was like, and they took us to Austria. This little city from Austria was Agendorf. The Germans took us already there. They took it over from the Hungarians. They call it this place called Todt Organization. That's mean whoever come there, they never go out alive anymore. They put that in shires, the barrack, but they keep the hay, and it was winter time and it was so cold. It was so cold that every night died at least 50, 60,000 people what we was going out. We wasn't in one place, it was all over, In this particular place where I was, in this barrack, wind was coming in almost when somebody died. We got happy because we was able to take him in to protect us from the wind. And we shall not get freeze out. And they give us to eat once in 3 days. In daytime they took us out streets there was trees and they was afraid that the partisans, that is the resistance what there was against the Germans, they was in the woods, hiding in the woods, and they was coming out sometimes and they killed the Germans.
It went so fast. First the men on one side and the women on the other side, and I didn't even realize it that my mother went with my sister and brother. I didn't even realize it that she's not near me anymore. The man on one side, but my little brother went with my mother. The direction, the separating were on this side or that side the Germans, and then Mengele was on the... I didn't know who he was, but I saw a very good looking soldier with immaculate uniform and high shiny boots, and he pointed with his right, left, just right, left. Everything was so fast that we didn't realize. My aunt was there and her 2 daughters, and they took us. And everything was fast, slow, fast. We went to a shower, we had to get undressed and left everything there. Only we had to carry our... first of all, they shaved us before we went to the shower. Everything, the hair and everything, and it's... Man, it was nothing, And then we went to the shower. They didn't give us no towels, no underwear. Just we had a loose, got a gray, some got stripes. I got a loose gray dress, and I had my shoes. That's all what I had. And all right, it wasn't in the winter, it was in the spring, but still, no underwear, nothing. And then we looked at each other and we started to laugh because nobody knew I didn't know how I looked, but if I looked on somebody else, it looked ridiculous, without hair. world, everything. So we started to laugh because we didn't see each other. First of all, I had to stand in line, appel. I don't know how many hours or days. Terrible jail appel. And then they put us to a barracks, and I was lucky because I was in a small barrack. Because in some barracks there were over 1,000 people, and we were something like over 300 who had positions, and they were there already for over 2 years, and in terrible conditions. We had a block, and everything. They didn't have nothing. They laid down and they froze to death. And those who survived, first of all, they never believed that they're going to go out alive from there. And second, they lost every human feelings. They even told us that we were stupid animals, that we knew what's going on, and we let ourselves take. We didn't do nothing about it. You were home and sleeping in your beds with covers, we froze to death. We worked on the Brezhnev camp. We started to work, and it was a good job because we worked at night with the packages where the people arrived, and they had the packages, the valises and everything. And I always found, then I had it good because I didn't have a shoelace, I found a shoelace. Outdoor work, like men would do it, even what the healthy young men should do it, we did it. And I fell, and I hurt my knee, and it got pussy, and they took me to the hospital, to a beer, because the Red Cross came to visit the hospital, and they had it for show. Doctors, prisoner doctors, there were a lot of doctors there. And my foot got infected, and I couldn't walk. And they took me to the hospital, and then they operated. The prisoner doctor, she was a Russian prisoner doctor. Her name was Dr. Lubov. And she operated with anesthesia. I was lucky. And I was in the hospital there. While I was in the hospital there, I met my pediatrician from my hometown. She was also working there in the hospital as a prisoner, because there were children there, because they had families, the Germans. They had families and they had children there. She was taking care of their children because she was a pediatrician. And then I met her there. And she came to visit me in the hospital, and she gave me vitamins, so whatever she could give me something extra, she gave it to me. And one day, Eva ran in to me, and she said they selected me. They wanted to take me to the gas chamber because she got very skinny, and I didn't know what to do. And I told her, go hide under my bed. And then I told somebody they should go for the doctor. And she came, and I told her, listen, she's here under my bed, they're going to look for her, what should I do? And then she went there to the German supervisor, and she said that here is a child, whose child is just as dear to me like your children, or to you. Please put her in a transport. Just send her away, they shouldn't look for her. And they did it. I didn't know she went there, and I never knew what happened to her.
I sent the transport to another place like Bergen, Belgium. I was there only for about 6 weeks. We didn't work there, nothing. We just stay there till they will. And then I went Braunschweig. It's a German city. We were working on the street, cleaning from bombardment. The city was very badly bombarded, and we were cleaning the sidewalks. It was very, very cold. It was the middle of winter. It was January, and our sleeping place was very, very bad. Also, they had straw, the floor just a thin layer of straw, and that's what we had to lay on. When we went to work, everybody was taking straw and put it under their dresses to keep warm, because it was very, very cold in the winter. Until they said that if you're doing that, then you're not going to have a map to sleep. So we had to stop doing that. And when we were working, then not SS guys were watching us, no, it's called Wehrmacht. It's a different kind of soldiers, different, they were much nicer than the SS.
One day I talked to my friend and I says, from there the Hungarian border was approximately 4 or 5 miles. I says, why not, when we go there to work, the snow was so high, throw us in there like we are dead, we are frozen, and then they go away, and then we will take the road to go to the Hungarian border. And I was like that, and we know the way how to go, because when we was working, there was Hungarian also there. They tell us, 4 miles away is the Hungarian border, this and this way. Anyway, I was talking to a guy, Moshe Stern, anyway, and I says to him, let's throw ourselves in the snow. Snow was so big. And when they go away, we will stay there in the middle of the night. We will move into Hungary, to the Hungary border. And I throw myself in. After they left, I say, Moshe, where are you? Moshe, Aineni. Moshe, he become cold feet, and again, he didn't come, and I was alone.
I went to hell, but my husband was on the farm with this guy who was taking him in, but they caught him because we couldn't make telephone calls and so on. So we wrote to each other to have a sign that we're still okay. So they catch the letter and they find out that he's on the farm hiding, and they took him to jail in the town. And then he had to say, and they took the man also who was hiding him to jail. But he was unbelievable nice. They hit him, they didn't touch my husband, but he was suffering not to believe how. So sure enough, when they went to jail, they had to tell them, I am his wife, my husband's wife. They came to Budapest and caught me and with my mother, because I was with my mother hiding. They took us from Budapest, my town, but there was no Jews anymore. The Jews was transported to Auschwitz. So they really didn't know what to do with us. We sent us to Budapest to with a policeman. But I had a brother in Budapest also hiding. He got us the Swedish papers. Wallenberg. We were unbelievably lucky. So when we arrived, and we had good friends. They were allowed to go from the jail for a little air. And my mother knew very well the postmaster, who was in the post office, and allowed to make a telephone call to my brother that we are arriving so and so time. They were waiting at the station, at the train station, and gave us the papers, the Swedish papers. So we were just unbelievable how it worked. So with the Swedish papers, we got free.
When we arrived to Bergen-Belsen during the day, Bergen-Belsen was a beautiful town, everything. And we walked from the train station during the day, and there were people going and coming, like a normal life, working. And we were going and we said, we are Hungarian Jews, we are Jews, we are Jews. They made believe that they didn't hear anything, they just went further, they didn't turn their head, nothing, they didn't hear. Because we looked not like human beings, like we would escape from a mental institution. The way we were dressed, the way we looked, so now they're going to say that they didn't know about. It's the biggest lie that they didn't know about. They had the rubber stick in their hands always, and that's whatever, faster, do faster. And the dog and the rubber stick, the most cruel, it wasn't human. I can't understand that these people went home and they were mothers and fathers. I can't understand how they could be loving mothers and loving fathers. They had children and family. I can't understand.
I come near the Hungarian border. They says, besides the Hungarians, stop. And I was come there and they took me. 6 soldiers and an officer there treating me. Blood was running. He says, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to give you to eat. I'm going to give you a bed. You shall have energy. Tomorrow morning I'm going to cut, like when you eat chazar, you cut pieces. I will going to cut up your intestine like solonat, like the chazar. And I will take you in Avona. You shall have enough energy that you shall not die right away. I want to give you your serum, your pain. Anyway, I told them, give me your serum tomorrow, but give me to eat today. I was thinking, and they gave me a good supper. And they gave me a good supper, and I was there, and I got a bed, washman, they didn't have only Hungarian uniform, and they put me on Hungarian uniform. I was waiting, I was going to sleep in the middle of the night. I was sleeping good because I eat a good supper. I didn't eat a year already. Somebody wake me up, a soldier, and he says, the officer, says, he wants to see you in his room. And I come in there, I put down my clothes and everything, come there, and he says to me, but I'm not waiting till tomorrow to shoot you. I didn't shoot already a long time. I want to see how I can aim, and I'm going to shoot you now. And he took me to the soldier. We going out in the field, for like 300 feet or 400 feet. He says to me, in between, he give me a flask of air, and I was coming there. He says, don't think you go there right now 300 feet away, and I cannot aim, and you will throw you down in the snow, and you will make yourself like you are dead. I can shoot. You cannot do. The soldier was, the other soldier, was also there, and he says, don't worry, we shoot you like a dog. And then when you throw yourself down, it's by 2 kilometers, that means like 1.5 miles, is there a big get together, because when the soldiers come in fighting with the Russian, and they run away because the Russian was coming nearer and nearer, you will say, you have Hungary, soldier thing. You will say you are a Hungarian soldier, you run away from there. And you say, you will not tell, I'm shooting you like a dog. And I go there 300 feet or 400 feet away. And I was thinking to myself, what can I lose? I throw myself down. He shoot me anyway. I throw myself down in a hurry. He shoot twice. And he says to the other soldier, in the night you are the voice is that I shoot him down like a dog. He's dead. Let's go home. And he was going away. Half an hour later, pick myself up. I said, what can I lose? He gave me even direction where there is a get-together. How I get in, I have no papers, but what can I do? I go about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. There, this get-together was there. And I come there, big officer, and he kiss me, hug me. Ce mai faci Shutayana? Just I said, what are you doing? He gave me a name. He called me Shutayana. I was looking like little Shigets when and I was thinking the time that says to the guy what is registered there, you treat them good, don't send them out in the war, keep them at least 2 weeks. He's a very nice guy, the Shutayanas. I had already a name.
Swedish embassy sent us for a while till they find us a place. They send us to this Catholic nunnery. Unbelievable how nice they were. I have no words for it. Since then, if I see a nun, what they did for me, and the most interesting thing is about that, she was a German woman, the head from the nunnery. And when I got there with the baby, she didn't know what to do with me. She gave me extra. It was generally very difficult with food. It was just, food was like today you would say a diamond. Sliced bread. It was horrible. But she said, no matter what, they were very hard workers. The nuns, I never knew that. They were out of Budapest, and they had a garden, and they had, all kinds of things. They got up early in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, and working in the garden, and they had fruit from there, and some foods also. I had a small entrance hall where I was, and she gave me the room from the priest. When the priest came to visit the nunnery, he had a special room with a bathroom. When I got there, from the Swedish embassy, I just didn't believe my eyes. Such a nice, clean room. They treated me with no words for it. Unbelievable, this woman. When I think about her, you have to feel like this. When you go through, you hungry, you have no home, and you scared to death every minute. The person didn't know this second if he's going to be caught. And I'm not their religion. It's a real human being. Then I say, I am Jewish and I try to keep my religion. But who knows, the Catholics, some Catholics are such nice, decent people. I was very impressed. She gave me life. She used to give me vitamins those years. What it meant, I was skin and bone. I was so skinny and I had so big. And if somebody helps you in a situation when the person has no interest, I couldn't give nothing for her because I didn't have myself. So how can you appreciate enough? My husband's opinion was that we should budge in generally, whatever. And I became very friendly with the nuns because I tell you, I felt I cannot begin to tell you what a feeling. I needed she gave me special because I was nursing. I had a baby and the food, you know what it meant to be those years, a little bit of one more bite. And she used to give me some chocolate, which I hadn't seen otherwise. And sometimes she was so busy she didn't have time to talk to me. She left that it was a small, tiny room. It was a table. In the corner she left it there. Some cookies or some delicacy, something special. So I was so grateful. And not only that, somehow she liked us. And one day, I remember, before we left, we heard some news was spreading that when they caught Jews in a nunnery or places, right away they killed them. They didn't even take them to places at the spot. My husband said one day to me, you know what, I think we have to go from here. And I didn't feel like it. And I said, why? He said, maybe someplace we were being caught. It's not going to be a situation. They're going to take us someplace. We have a chance maybe to hope for something. I didn't want to fight. And I said to myself, should I tell them ahead that we are leaving? And we came to a conclusion that we should tell, not just suddenly we're leaving. I said to this, we called her in German. She was a German woman. We called her Liebe Mutter, dear mother. Mutter is a mother in German, and that's the way they called her. She came from Berlin. I said to her, my husband has a feeling that we should go because we are in danger. She said to me, you are in danger, but I don't agree with you going. Wherever you go, you're in danger. And she was right, 100%. And I tried to convince my husband, but I didn't want to go too, because we didn't know what the next minute will bring. We were never no place safe. So she found out we're going to go. She gave us a speech, and unbelievable. First of all, she said, anytime you have a place here, when you feel that you have to come back. I'm afraid to force you because I don't see the future, what's going to be. But my room, my use place, anytime. She was crying. She was so, sometimes it was not made up because she had no interest. There was no money involved in it. They never charged a penny.
Bergen-Belsen we were on a beautiful place, like in a forest, and we were put in a barrack with no beds, no nothing, just on the floor. Thousands of people. We didn't have room enough to stretch out. We were just sitting with our foot up, and we didn't work there, nothing, hardly any food. I don't even know how we survived there. We arrived in January, we didn't work there. February, March 8th, and I had a friend there from my hometown. She was older than me. She was a beautiful girl. She was very handy, Barbara. And we stole blankets, and on the blankets we took out the thread, and we made from wood needles, like knitting needles. She was handy, and she was knitting sock, and I sold it, and this is the way we had some food. And then it was typhoid. Everybody was sick with typhoid, and everybody died. I never more dead than living. And they just died and they threw them out. There were piles of dead people. And she got also very sick, Barbara. Couldn't move. I never saw that in my life yet. She was alive and she was rotten skin. She must have been in terrible pain because she begged me, kill me, kill me. She was rotting away. She was living, then she was rotting. Then she died. In the meantime, we were liberated. And they came and They didn't know. They weren't prepared for things like that, And they gave us food because when the Germans left, they knew that the war is almost over and they are losing, and they left. And for 2 weeks we didn't have any water and no food for 2 weeks. They knew that they are losing the war. And then they gave us food, and they weren't prepared. They gave us canned fat meat, and the people started to eat, and they died. And my luck was I couldn't eat. I absolutely couldn't eat. The only thing I could eat it was potato peel, because potato I didn't have. Potato peel, that's all what I could eat. That was my luck. And people died like flies. There was more dead than they just took them on. And they marked down. They were on the floor, on their forehead. They put a cross that they have to be picked up. And instead of taking all the sick people in a truck and take them to a hospital, they did it on the normal way. They came with stretchers, and they put one on the stretchers, and they came back for the other one. The other one was dead already. They didn't know how to handle it. They weren't prepared.
And I was very grateful that we find each. You know how many couples who had a beautiful life, they didn't find each other after the war. Or the wife was killed, or the husband was killed, like my brother was killed in no time.
They took us to this city, Värnamo first. They took us to a city in Landskrona that was very close to Denmark, like a half an hour with a train. And there in a school building they put us, and they gave us food, and we ate. And then we always, it was already springtime, so we came out to the yard. And all the people who passed by, the Swedish people, they were looking at us like, who knows what we are, They had no idea what are these people who are looking never so skinny and terrible how we look. One day one woman was approaching me and saying to me, "What's your name?" She knew German, so she spoke to me German. "What's your name?" And I told her, and then she said, "Would you like to come to my house?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know how I can go." So anyway, she took care that I should go out from there and to go to her house. And she was such a nice Swedish woman, a poor woman, she was like working, cleaning, and she was really a poor woman, and she had such a pity on me, how I looked. So she took me to her house, went to that house, and I was there like their child. They took care of me like I would be a child, and I had nobody, I didn't know about anybody of my family. They are unbelievably nice. They were unbelievably nice, and they managed to taught the Goyim taught that I am their daughter. I didn't look Jewish at all. I had light hair and fair skin. I was like one of them, and I spoke the language. I learned it so good that some people said, "Oh, I know you're coming from there and there," like another part, like a dialect from another part of Sweden. That's how they thought that I speak. But I completely knew the language, and I spoke it warm, friendly, and giving. What do they have to do that for? Just because from pity. I think they had pity of us, how we looked. And don't ask, when I was coming to them, I was skinny like a pickle. I was so skinny, and then they started to give me, you have no idea how many. I ate up, for breakfast I could eat up maybe 6 rolls. That's how much an appetite I had. And then I slowly gained, because from all these rolls, burger and rolls, it was the most delicious food that I can eat after so much hungry, And then I went to work there. Before they took me to the place that I should babysit a little girl, I was working. I bought myself a bike, and I was going to a factory because I knew how to sew from home yet. From there we went on train, and they put us, we should go to Budapest. We had to arrive to Budapest, and we were going on the train. The trains were crowded. They were hanging people from the top, and we didn't have room in the train, just between the two trains between there, and we were standing there, and me and a few girls from my town, and we were hanging there, and it was night, dark, and somehow they pushed me into the door, to the train car, and I fell in, and a Russian soldier slept, and I was so scared, but it was dark, and he was very nice. He said I should put my head on his shoulder and I should sleep. He just asked me how old I am, and I said I'm 12. The British gave us cigarettes, and that was all my money. And I had on my under my dress all over. My body was full with cigarettes. And take my cigarette. It was my livelihood, the cigarette. But he didn't touch me. I never saw his face. It was dark. He didn't see he spoke as much German as I spoke Russian. And then he jumped off the train that he has to leave. The Jewish organization's waiting for us, and then I met there somebody, a relative of mine, my son, and he said my uncle has an apartment there, and David, he has an apartment there, and he knows where he's going to take me, and we could on the tramway. But when I arrived there, it's a distant cousin, took me to my uncle's apartment, and he said that, I said that he will come. You wait here, he left me there, he will come, because I'm sure, I know he will come there. And I went there, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally my uncle came, carrying a big sack on his shoulder, and it was money in it, because it was inflation, it was nothing. And when he saw me, he didn't know what to do with me, because, even though said that they knew that I was in the hospital and nobody heard about me anything. Everybody thought that I'm dead. And then he arrived, wow, he didn't know what to do with me, and then he took me out to eat, to a restaurant like a human being, and he took me to a dressmaker, and they made me a dress.
The deliberation, we went home and started our business. Even though it was communism, the Russians are also the alcoholic. Most they drink like we drink water. They drink alcohol. Terrible. The business was booming. We went back to our business, family business. Even my grandparents were in the alcohol, in wholesale wine and all kinds of whiskey, and it was excellent business. But my mother and my husband realized it's no future. Even now, sometimes you have a good, in business is good, but it's no future. It was, at the end, they robbed you, they were like, but the drink was there. We made really, when I think about it, how smart you should be to see a little bit the future, what can happen after. So my mother, who was not a youngster then, she was like early 60s, she suggested that we should go. Even we make so nice, money financially, there's no future, because at the end we end up with nothing. And we left. It was not easy. It was not allowed to leave the country. Sure enough, we left it. We couldn't come here. You needed papers to come here. So nobody knew. Only one person who was a bookkeeper, Jewish guy, he knew that we lived, because we left everything, some people were owning money in business, and very luckily we left to Austria, which was not too far from Hungary. It was a short trip, but we couldn't go any further than Vienna. Nobody knew we had money, people owned us a lot of money, and this guy he knew that we live in was unbelievable, sent the money after us. Somehow he found a way. It was not easy. You don't find such people today anymore, so honest. So we went to Vienna, and 5 years we lived in Vienna. At the end, we were thinking where to go. We wanted very much to go to Israel. And we decided we come here. We got at the end we got the papers, the legal papers to come to the United States. So we came here in 1953, in March, this I remember. After Pesach, my husband, I wanted very badly to go to. I said, we went through all this, we have a country, like other people also. We should go to Israel. Jews have a country, but when you go through such, hell, then you want to live already in one place. So my husband decided, after Pesach, right at the same year when we came, that he's going to look around by himself. But the situation is in Israel. He went there and was there like 10 days. Business-wise, he looked around. After all, we were a family, and we had money. We were not penniless. We came America, and my husband said, before the whole family goes, I want to see what is the success. I was here with my husband and 2 kids and 2 brothers, a whole family. If we start living, eating up the money what we have, it goes very quickly, if you don't make. So sure enough, he was there and looked and tried. I remember he tried export and import with bicycles. In Austria, they have a very famous make. He came back, he said, I don't have the responsibility to take a family and make their living. So it went. He came back home and started some business.
Other uncle that was already in Romania, Nagyvárad, so we went to him because he didn't have any family. He lost his wife and children and he was there. And I was living with them for a while. And I was in Bucharest. He had an apartment in Bucharest. And I was there because in that apartment in Nagyvárad there was very little room. And in the meantime he got married. He married his niece and my cousin.
She was, as my husband used to say, oh, he loved her. In a million years does not born is like she was born at it. She was like, first of all, she was gorgeous. And she was not aware of it, that she's so beautiful and educated and friendly.
I was in Nagyvárad and I was there for a while and I didn't know anything about my sister. I don't know where she was alive or not. We sent home letters to her hometown, nothing. And then there was a Red Cross office, I think in Bucharest, and my cousin Lily went up there and there was a big lot of survivors, the name and where they are. She found Eva's name on the Red Cross list that she's in Sweden, and that's the way we got in touch. And suddenly, when I was in that family, that's when I got a letter from my sister that she saw my name on the Red Cross list in Romania, and she wrote me. So then I was the happiest person. And then she wrote me who else is alive from the family, because I didn't know about anybody. I had no idea. And then that's when we were corresponding, and that's when we know about each other, but we didn't meet for a long time yet. Because I was in Sweden until my uncle from Prague, Uncle Chaim, and his wife Edith, they said that they're going to make arrangements that I should come to Prague from Sweden. I was there 2 years in Sweden. I was in Sweden all by myself, by these families, and they were very nice. And when I left that family, so they said, you should know that if you are not happy with your family where you are going, you are always having a home by us. And they were such a nice people, and poor people, I'm telling you, poor. They're working people, and they had such a heart, that's unbelievable. So this is how I went. I went to Prague after that, to Uncle Chaim, and then they didn't have a home, they didn't have an apartment, they lived in a hotel. So I was also living in this hotel. I wasn't too happy there because Uncle Chaim made a living from all kind of exchange money with this and that, black market money, and I was very nervous. I was so nervous to be there because I was always afraid that they're going to catch him or me or whatever, because sometimes I had to carry the money after he went in advance, and I carried packs of money in my pocketbook, and I went and delivered it wherever I had to. It was very nerve-wracking for me, but I had no choice. I had no place to go.
Back home I didn't find nobody, only my sister was also in concentration camp with my brother, and I find them there. My brother was there already, but my sister come after me in 52 in Germany. In 52 I was going to a wedding in Belgium to a friend of mine got married. And there I met Antwerp. There I met my wife, and then we got verlobt. That means we got
so fast.
engaged.
Not so fast.
Not so fast.
2 years.
It took 2 years till I was coming back and forth from Germany. And then after that we got married in Paris. We didn't get money to make a wedding in Antwerp because we know too many people. And then we had to come to the wedding, and we didn't have the money to do that. We go to Paris, and in Paris we was a restaurant, Eden restaurant, and there we got married, and we was 6 people, and we took 4 people from the restaurant.
Oh no!
wasn't exactly like that, but we wasn't too many people.
It was small.
But so very small.
Yeah, by the time I knew already, unfortunately everybody perished in. It was a very happy feeling to get together with somebody, at least, from home, after being went through so much as a young kid.
The first time we went to Hungary from here, mainly we went to see the man who was hiding my husband, and then only the nuns were no more. The Russians are finished all up now. They had no religion, they had no respect for this. So it was never so. They say they killed them and this and. But you go through such times. It gives you in mind, with the mind. How many times even today I think and I want to remember, but certain things I see, now we're talking about the nuns. Now I remember if I would see her now. She was an unbelievable woman. I mean, what interest does she have to give me special attention? But she felt like I was with a baby also. I don't remember having people there with babies. I was thinking it's not so much me. She had a feeling for the baby and was a very cute baby. She loved the baby. She used to come in and so, you go out sometimes a little bit in the garden, let me babysit for you. She loved the baby. It made probably also, but she was a woman with a feeling. And especially she was German.
Let's say where I was country, my children didn't have grandparents. Now I know that I have grandchildren, and now I have already great-grandchildren, what it meant. They didn't have grandparents, but when they came in this country, children had. And my children were lucky enough because my husband had parents. They had parents who came here before the war. So they had a grandmother and a grandfather, but my sisters didn't have. And when my children spoke about Babi, I'm going to Babi, my grandmother, or they killed this or that. So my nephew asked his mother, Mommy, what's a Babi? What's a grandmother? And I said, that's very sad when a child doesn't know what it means. You know, when it happened to us, it happened to everybody around us. So it wasn't like today if somebody loses a mother or a father, such a terrible tragedy, never an orphan or something. But then it happened to everybody, so I wasn't the only one who didn't have a mother or a father. It was very seldom if somebody had a parent.
Sometimes I wonder, I cannot believe that was me that went through this story. But I went through, even when Judy was she's like a middle-aged woman today. When she was born, a Jewish woman left from the hospital because she had to go, she was Jewish. By me, they didn't know. But when she left, everybody, it was a big room where we were, 40, 30, tremendous space. They were so happy that the Jewish woman left. And here I am, a Jewish Jew, and I couldn't show my feelings. I had to go with them to be, can you imagine? Meantime, you are afraid that I was afraid to say one word because they will realize that, I feel sorry for her. And how many times I was caught. Sundays, sometimes I had to leave the apartment because the guy who was hiding us. The father lived out of town, and he came sometimes, and he didn't know that he's hiding a Jew, the own father. Yeah. But he wanted the money. He got money for it. And I was on the street, on my arms with the baby. You didn't see a single soul on the street because of the bombing. They were in the shelters. The attention, how this is a miracle. Nothing else. Since then, I really believe what is, what they say? Beshared. That I was not caught. Can you imagine a deserted street and they blowing that the bombs are coming and I am there on my arms with the baby and nobody came over to me. Isn't this a miracle? And how many times happens things like that?
I wish and I hope my children and grandchildren, they won't go through a war and they won't know what hate is, to hate people just because of their religion and culture. Here it's one beautiful thing in the United States that everybody comes from somewhere, everybody's origin is from somewhere, and they mix, even with the marriages, it doesn't matter from where the grandparents came. In Europe they did, but here everybody's American, and even the grandparents are different. I mean, they have a different background, but they are all the same. Like I remember after the war, I said I wouldn't marry a Polish Jew. I wouldn't. 2006, and in Israel there was the war now. Who knows if it's over? And there are many young people died for what? For the hate, because they don't want to give them that little country Israel. And as long as we have Israel, we all know that we belong to a country, and there is somebody where we could always go if God forbid something could happen again. And it could, because the hatred is so big, such a hatred, that it could happen, even in America. There's a big anti-Semitism in America, very big. I hope that the future generation will never ever have to live through such a things like we did, and there will be peace in the world.
My brother has 6 children, and they have children, grandchildren, and grandchildren. They are today about 300 people. They are Hasidic in Augsburg, and they have a lot of children. Like right now, I had 2 children. My son has 8, my daughter has 5, and then my son has already 4 children married. And one has 3, and the other one 3, and another 1, and 1. And so they are already, and then it's not finished yet. Yes. Life is a different life when you get married. When you have a little child, it's a different, the joy of what is going on that time is unbelievable. But you have to find the right one, otherwise you are in problems.
What meant to be. Because people, I realize that more and more. And I think that I am still here after all this. And I didn't went cuckoo, not normal in my head. It was a time I didn't know from no one. I was not well. I cannot tell all the details, but those years, what those times, and wait. As an only daughter, how much I was sheltered. I had unbelievable father and mother. This was different times, different upbringing. They were doing very nicely financially, and my father gave me once a speech as like I was 12 or 13. My child, he says to me, he would give you, I don't even want to say what I would like to have you. How much they love me and they would like to give me and I got. But she says to me, one thing you have to realize, in the town you have many people who cannot even make a living, not to buy beautiful clothes for their children, and think about that. But you cause for people a very bad feeling if you are going to dress so every time a new dress, Gave me love, tremendous love, but in the meantime to be considerate, not to overdo things. Today is the problem is the upbringing. It's not good. So who can, if not this, I wouldn't have this background. I don't know how I would be able to take this difficult time.
Kaddish. For salvation, Kaddish. For redemption, Kaddish. For forgiveness, Kaddish. For health, Kaddish. For all the war's victims, Kaddish. For all the Holocaust's victims, Kaddish. Why do I cry at night? Oh, why do I feel so bad? Something holds me tight. It's something in the air. I have a prayer, a prayer, a prayer from my heart. Night after night, after daylight, memories of על שזובו קדיש, על רפואו וגאולו קדיש, על סליחו וכפרו קדיש, על הסולו קדיש, על נחמו קדיש, על רפואו קדיש, על סליחו קדיש, וכפרו על הסולו קדיש. קדיש דרבנן